Tuesday, everyone. I'm Kelly Manzone. Thank you for joining me today. We are still with the theme of priming for Mace training with our stick mobility sticks. So we are going to need one short stick today, one long stick, and if you don't own stick mobility, that's fine. You could use a PVC pipe, a broom, whatever you have access to. We are doing some kneeling snake reach, so if you need a towel or a pillow or a pad for your knee, have that nearby. And last week, I covered the pendulum, the transverse turn through the shoulders, which is critical in mace swinging. So I'm going to do a quick review of what we did last week, and I'm going to build on the concept. So we learned how to safely pick up our mace, the pendulum in the backswing, how to create the proper cast of the mace head, and then we broke down the basic swing of the 360. So the 360 has less complexity because there's one pull, and that one pull is centered. And we also discussed the proper rack position. After the review, I'm going to walk us through the traditional swing of the 10 and 2. And that one has a little bit more complexity because there's two pulls and it's on a diagonal. So getting started with our warm-up, we're going to first begin with our one long stick. And in a moment, after we do our warm-up, I have a traditional Gada here and also a steel mace, and I'll briefly describe the difference between the two tools. So taking the stick to the right, this is my left side, but the camera flips me. So I want you to be able to mirror me. So I'm going to call my left side my right. You're going to go a little bit wider than hip width and take the bottom of the stick about 3 inches out from the midline of your foot. Your bottom hand is going to grab that stick mobility sticker, and then the top left hand, you're going to rotate the palm out with the thumb down. So oftentimes with bow and arrow, people lead with the arms first, but we want to press out with our hips first, then push out with that upper body. Now, instead of the tailbone being back, I want you to take your tailbone under, grip the ground with your feet, and then we're going to floss our arms. So our lateral lines are critical to our mace swinging. So we're going to take our time here just to slowly warm up our body, get everything ready. And what you're doing is you're pushing down into the stick, taking it forward onto the sagittal plane and then outward on the frontal plane. Take a moment, hold here, angle, look upwards so you can get a little bit into your front line. Make sure you're not holding your breath. You should be able to comfortably be here without jetting the chin forward, and then slowly come out of your bow and arrow, taking it over to the left side. Bottom hand near your hip line, top right hand, thumb facing down, palm forward, pushing the stick down into the floor. And if you can, be barefoot, so that way you could really feel the connection and grounding through the feet, which is actually important for your mace swinging too. We're going to take the hips out first, followed by the upper body. Make sure that bottom shoulder is down away from the ear. Grip the ground with the feet. Begin that flossing, inhaling and exhaling, staying with your breath. Again, taking the stick forward onto the sagittal plane, then outward onto the frontal plane. And I don't want you to work into pain, so be very mindful. Hold here. Now angle your eyes, look upward towards the ceiling. Hold for a breath or two, and then slowly come out of your bow and arrow. Before we go into a second bow and arrow variation, we're going to take our long stick for some shoulder dislocates. So oftentimes people will throw the arms back and the fingers disconnect from the stick. So we're going to keep all fingers attached to the stick. You're in your stick mobility horse stance, so you're a little bit wider than hip width, knees are soft, and you have a slight tuck of your tailbone. Rib cage closed, chin neutral. I'm going on a little bit of a diagonal here. You're going to pull apart on the stick, and when you pull apart on the stick, you're going to activate your posterior line. Eyes forward, all fingers staying connected onto the stick. Now you take the arms back only to where you are comfortable. So I have excessive range of motion in my joints in my elbows and my shoulders, so I'm able to comfortably take it all the way back. But again, I only want you to work into what is comfortable for you personally. Pull apart, Again, go back to where you can comfortably. As you come forward, you're going to push into the stick and slowly lower. So we're priming our shoulders for our mace work today. And again, push into the stick. Let's do 3 more. Pull apart, focusing on your breath. Notice your alignment. Again, push into the stick. Now, it's important to mention that proper, healthy range of motion is required in order to swing a mace safely. So if you have any impingements or shoulder injuries, we are going to be using our short stick as a primer. So you don't necessarily need to own a mace right now, but you can learn the pattern, the breakdown, by using that weightless short stick. And then also you could pick up on any nuances if possibly mace training or swinging itself is not particularly meant for your body. But there's many other ways to add mace work into your training. So we will cover next week some other variations other than swinging. We might get to an RDL variation today, but I believe Ray has put up a couple of variations in his class. So we're going to take the stick back over to our right. Your left leg is going to cross over. I want you to grip the ground with the feet. So we're going to go a little bit deeper into our bow and arrow variation right now. I'm pressing the inner thighs towards one another, pushing down into the feet, squeezing glutes, and hold. Slowly come out of it. We're going to go up and over to the other side. So the stick is on our left, right leg crosses over. Connect with the feet, engage the inner thighs, squeeze glutes, and then you're going to press the hips out. You may find that one side is a little bit more limited. This side is a little bit more challenging for me. I always like to kind of take some notes as I go through class. Hold, and then slowly come out of your bow and arrow. If you need the pillow or pad for your knee, we're going to go into our kneeling snake reach, taking the right leg forward, back left knee down. The stick is going to come right here to the inside of the right thigh. Left hand. Now, if you need to modify, you could bend the elbow and have a shortened length. If you know that you're not inhibited in your shoulders and everything feels okay, you could lengthen that top arm with the thumb facing down, palm forward. Now, there's a gap between my shirt and the stick mobility stick. I'm going to take my right arm out to the side and simply thread through that gap. It goes behind the shoulder. And now the bottom hand is going to slide that stick slightly out. And then I'm going to squeeze the left glute here. So you're going to engage your glute and you're going to rotate inward towards that right thigh. Again, focusing on your breath. So this really pairs nicely with the bow and arrow. And again, we're getting into that shoulder girdle. Hold here. Now we're going to floss, come out of it, take a breath, inhale, exhale, start to rotate, and again, not working into pain. So this inside shoulder should be down away from your ear, chin and neck nice and neutral and relaxed. Hold, and then slowly come out of your snake reach. Release behind the shoulder, and then slide that top hand down. Take a moment to square off, drive up, and then we're going to the other side. So left leg is forward, right knee is down. Stick now is to the inside of the left thigh. Taking that top right hand, thumb faces down, left arm. We're going to thread through the gap, place it behind the shoulder, and then, like we did on the other side, rotate inward towards the left. This side is a little bit more awkward for me. And again, remember, if it's too intense, you could soften the elbow and bend at the elbow so that you're lengthening that forearm, or you could take the arm up higher. Hold here, flossing, slowly coming out of it. Inhale, exhale, and now go deeper into the stretch. So I'm driving down through that left foot, excuse me, creating some stability. Hold here. And then we're slowly going to come out of it. Release behind the shoulder, slide the hand down. Now we're coming up to stand and going into a lunge variation. Our left leg is going to continue to stay forward. You're going to take the bottom of your stick, angle it inward towards you, step your right leg back. So we're going into a long, lengthened back right leg. Right arm is extended, and I'm pushing down into the floor. Take your left arm forward, and you're going to inhale, exhale, eyes leading the head, little T-spine stretch as we work the lunge, look behind you, and then gently close. So I'm pushing up into the floor, maybe about 20-30% tension, looking back to the left, slowly close. Let's do one more. Reach, working just a little bit of balance. So if this is too intense, you could always lower the knee down to the floor. Coming through center, we change sides. Now, right leg is forward, stepping back with that lengthened left leg, driving down the stick into the floor. Extend that right arm forward. Remember, engage that back glute. That's going to help to create stability. Inhale, exhale, eyes leading the head, rotate, look behind you. Your knee, though, is going to stay in line with your hip. Nice. Let's do one more here. Reach back. Good. And then come through center. Slowly come to stand. Now, we're taking this stick. Our stance is a little bit wider than hip width. Right hand is on top, bottom stick angled inward towards you. Taking the arms across, so we're going right over to the left. Hip hinge forward. So picture your head as the tip of a triangle. We're working right behind that right shoulder blade. From here, dip that right shoulder down towards the foot. A couple of neck articulations. We talked about this last week. Now, when we're working our Mace swing, and especially the pendulum, we create a window between the bicep and the forearm. And we use our eyes, especially during the learning process, to eye the Mace head. Take a moment, come to stand, transition, left hand on top, arms over to your right, hip hinge forward. So your chin should comfortably clear over the bicep. And instead of shifting your hips, right now I want you to keep those hips nice and squared. Take a breath, dip that left shoulder now down towards your left foot. And again, breathing, inhale and exhale. I do diaphragmatically breathing, so if you want to diaphragmatically breathe, you can. Or you could inhale and exhale through the nose and mouth. Take a moment, let's do one more. Perfect. Slowly come to stand. Now we're going to transition for the last part of our warm-up to our short stick. And if you do not own a shorter stick, you can use the one that you just were using for the other exercises. We're simply going to go into a couple of kayaking variations. So your stick mobility horse stance, park the stick on your left hip, and then you're going to take both palms and crush the stick. So I'm pushing in maybe about 20-30% tension, and we start to kayak forward. So we're just kind of mobilizing again our shoulders, waking up the spine. At the moment, I want you to keep your hips forward. So instead of moving the hips or moving the chest, try to keep your chest still, chin neutral. And again, you're pushing into the stick each time you transition going forward. Now, on the opposite hip, so now we're on the right, and we simply reverse, going up, back, and down. And when I'm driving up with the palm, I'm creating that tension. Hips again, staying still. Let's go for 4 more. 1, 2, 3, 4. Couple of pendulums. When you press up to the left side, your bicep will be in line with your ear. That bottom right hand driving upward. Inhale, exhale, transition, other side. Good. Let's do 2 more on each side. Then we're going to discuss the differences between our steel mace and traditional Gada. Okay, 1 more. Excellent. Okay, short stick down. Here I have one of my traditional Gadas. This is made out of bamboo. Bottom of the mace head made of concrete. this has a longer lever, and because bamboo is weightless, all the weight is concentrated at the end of the shaft. So long lever and all of the weight concentrated at the mace head. Now, the steel mace, which you could find, there's many that are on the market these days, they're all about the same length. So as you can see, there's a bit of a difference in length. I personally, well, I use both, but I like the feedback from bamboo in a longer lever. With the steel mace, there's a little bit of weight in the shaft or lever, and then a portion of the weight is at the mace head. Now, how to safely pick up your mace. We discussed this last week, and I just want to go over it quickly. So you create a triangle, much like you would with your setup for a kettlebell swing. You're going to take your the end of the lever into the right hand, hip hinge forward. That bottom left hand is going to concentrate down low near the mace head. And as you come to stand, you slide that left hand down. Now, in that rack position, as you can see, I have lengthened forearms instead of being bent elbow mid-chest. So this is going to create a little bit of instability. Here, I could create stability. Also, the importance of connecting to your feet. So oftentimes people think of just their mace work as a shoulder and back exercise, but you're going to drive down into your feet, engage your legs, squeeze your glutes, and the trunk of the body. You're going to get reflexive strength and control from your core. So again, here is the front rack. I'll step in. You can see how in that front rack position, my bottom right hand, the fingers are slightly lengthened, the same with that top left hand. How to return it safely back down to the ground. I'm going to begin that hip hinge, slide the left hand down towards that mace head. Let's do it on the other side. Create your triangle. Shaft is in the left. Hip hinge, holding down low towards the mace head. Come to your standing position. There we go. Arms are lengthened instead of mid-chest. So instability, stability, and then hip hinge, reverse it, and safely place your mace to the floor. Going into a review, we discussed the pendulum. So much like a kettlebell swing, when your technique is correct in the kettlebell swing, you feel the float, no matter what weight bell you are swinging. The same applies with the backswing with mace swinging. Now, before we go into the proper cast and a review of the pendulum, I just want to prime our triceps. So you're going to take first your short stick mobility stick into the left hand, place it to the base of your neck, and now your bottom right hand is going to gently pull down on the stick. Now, as you can see, this is a great way to kind of find out if somebody has the proper mobility to swing a mace safely. I'm creating a bullhorn with the left elbow. Now, as you see from the side, my elbow is pointing upward towards the ceiling. I don't have any rib flare, and my tailbone is nice and neutral. Chin is relaxed. I'm not jetting the chin forward. Getting a little length through the tricep here. This should be comfortable. Now, you may feel some, if you have any shoulder issues, the elbow will fall forward onto that sagittal plane. Proper position, elbow pointing upward towards the ceiling comfortably. Holding here for a breath or two, then we're simply going to switch over to our right side. So now we're switching right hand to the base of the neck. So each time we are in the backswing, our hands are going to fall to the base of the neck when we're under load of the mace, instead of haloing up high above the head. Now, my right elbow, again, pointing upward towards the ceiling. Here's that side view, neutral with the pelvis, rib cage closed, chin neutral. Hold here for another breath, and then we're gently going to release. Now, priming our triceps for load. You're going to take your mace, create that triangle like we discussed, hip hinge forward. Now take the mace onto your shoulder safely. So as you can see, I have the mace on my left shoulder. I'm shifting my body weight to the right. As I pass through center, I'm going to allow the hand to fall to the base of my neck. Now, this is a 15-pound mace. I'm very comfortable with this position. If the mace is too heavy for you or you don't own one, you can still do this drill with a short stick. I'm just going to turn around for a moment. While I'm here, I'm going to corkscrew my knuckles inward and outward. Again, inward and outward. My mentor, Paul Taras-Wapowinski, showed me this years back, and I absolutely love it. It pairs beautifully with this stick mobility snake reach, and I use this often in my mace workshops. Pause, come neutral, and then we're going to switch. Right hand, again, base of the neck, chin neutral, and then you're just going to corkscrew the knuckles. I'll turn around, inward and outward. So we have to kind of get our tendons, ligaments, muscle fibers, and joints used to this position. Good. Let's do that one more time. Left hand is going to come to the bottom of the mace. And what you're going to do to come out of this position, I'm going to turn my body towards the right and then simply slide the mace back onto the shoulder. Hand return to near the mace head and lower down to the ground. Going into our pendulum. So here's a review of what we covered last week. We're going to use our stick mobility short stick, or whatever you have access to. So park it onto the shoulder, come through center. I've got my left hand on top, the bottom hand is the right hand. Now, the pendulum, so is thinking of like a grandfather clock, right? 3 and 9 o'clock, tick, tock. Now, as you can see, without load, my body, my shoulders create this transverse turn. That transverse turn creates a window for the eyes to eye the mace head. So if this is your start position with the 360, so here's your proper front rack, and I push up and cast the mace head up onto the frontal plane, the mace head is going to drop back into the back position. And then, if I'm creating the pendulum, I have a transverse turn on the opposite side of the body, and then I pull back into that front rack position. A great way, obviously, to learn how to get comfortable with a tool swinging behind your body is the pendulum. So we're going to do an unloaded, loaded, and review the 1, 2, 3 pull technique. Taking it onto your right shoulder, come through center, drop the hands to the base of the neck. Stance a little bit wider than hip width. So you're going to gently start to maneuver the hips forward, getting a little bit of momentum. And then we create that transverse turn. We go 3 to 9 o'clock. Now, as you can see, my hands drop to the base of the neck. So here's from the side view. Each time I go from right to left. Now, oftentimes when I'm teaching somebody how to swing a mace, the transverse turn, which is here, right? Sometimes they chase the mace and the arms lengthen. So I told somebody the other day, you want to think of like old school Madonna, Vogue, right? Keeping it close to the face. The same thing happens with that transverse turn through the shoulders. So when you're under the load of weight, you don't want to chase the mace head, right? We want to keep that transverse turn close to the body. So let's do it with load. And let me teach you how to get you into the position. So again, here we go. We're in that triangle. Left hand to the mace head. Mace onto the left shoulder. Come through center. Now we're in that bullhorn position. Hands to the base of the neck. I'm going to start to gently move my body from side to side. The mace is going to start to get higher. And now I'm at 3 and 9 o'clock. Under load. Good. How to slow it down? You simply follow it through. Come back to the center. pull over the shoulder. Great. Now, learning the 1, 2, 3 pull. This is a review of last week. So the 1, 2, 3 pull is going to alternate each pull over the shoulder, and it'll help teach you how to properly cast the mace head. So a common mistake, and I'll just demonstrate, is casting the mace. So this is not the proper way to cast a mace, is to push it up and back over the shoulder, and then people will struggle to create that weightless pendulum. So my left hand is on top, my right hand is on the bottom. I need to create this nice arc of the mace head out onto the frontal plane so that I can create that pendulum. Push up, there we go. So I have that transverse turn through the shoulders, but now I also counterbalance away from the mace head. Let's do it under load first. So transition to your short stick. Left hand on top. Here is your proper rack position. Lengthen through the forearms. Remember, our bicep and forearm creates a window so that we can eye that mace head. We're going to push up. There's that transverse turn. The mace head is going to be on that frontal plane. It's going to drop back, and then here we have another transverse turn. Elbow crosses forward towards the midline, and then you pull back to center. Doing the pendulum, 1, 2, 3, pull. Then you're going to cast over that same shoulder. 1, 2, 3, pull. Again, 1, 2, 3, pull. 1, 2, 3, pull. I'll go from the side view. 1, 2, 3, pull. On the pull is when you exhale, you push into the feet, you engage your glutes, you engage the feet, the legs, use that reflexive strength and control from your core. Okay, let's try the 1, 2, 3 pendulum under load. And if you don't own a mace, you could stick with the shorter stick. Place it into the right hand, and you're going to want to practice this on both the right hand being on top and the left hand being on top, though it's going to be easier with your dominant hand being the top hand. The top hand meaning closer to the mace head. So left, right hand's on the bottom. We're going to begin our 1, 2, 3 pendulum with the pull. So I'm casting over the right shoulder first. On 3, 1, 2, 3. We cast. 1, 2, 3, pull. Now over left shoulder. 1, 2, 3, pull over right. 1, 2, 3, pull over left. One more cast. 1, 2, 3, pull. So great drill to learn how to properly cast a mace and how to create the pendulum of the backswing. I'm going to transition now, a quick review, into our 360s. So with your 360, again, less complexity because there's one pull to the center of the body. I like the longer lever of bamboo. If anybody needs any resources or has any questions, you could reach out to me, Kelly Manzone at KelsBells88 on Instagram. Now with our 360, we're going to practice left hand on top going over right shoulder. Once you're comfortable with that, you're going to also practice left hand on top going over left shoulder. And you're going to repeat that with the right hand on top also. Okay, so going into our starting position, we have our triangle, hip hinge forward. We have the length to the forearms. Now, the start-stop technique with the 360 that we did last week, you're going to pause in the front rack position each time. So I have left hand on top, right hand on the bottom, casting over the right shoulder. On 3, 1, 2, 3. Cast, pull. Now, we pull right about 10 or 2 o'clock, right when the mace head is here. So there's an on switch and an off switch, a time to create tension and a time to allow the natural momentum and gravity of the mace to take over. So here we go. Cast, pull. There's that pause, start, stop technique. Cast, pull. Inhale, exhale. There's that stability. Inhale, exhale. All right, let's do a couple more. I'm gonna go from the side view. So when you're first learning here, if you film yourself, you'll be able to pick up on all the important nuances. And you film yourself from the front view so you can see the cast and the transverse turn through the shoulders. And you can film yourself from the side view to see what's happening with your pelvis, with your alignment, to eye where the mace head is casting, and your mace should be close to your body in the backswing. So I still have the left hand on top. I'm going to cast towards the camera and pause, cast. There we go. Let's do a couple more. One more. Good. And let's repeat on the other side. So we switch, right hand on top. Now the right hand on top is going to go over the left shoulder. Let's go for 5 on 3. 1, 2, 3. Cast, pull, cast, good, pull, cast, again, nice. One more, use your eyes, perfect. Side view, let's go for a few from the side view. Again, grip the ground with the feet, watch your alignment. I'm casting the mace head towards the camera using my eyes. Then you have that counterbalance. Good. Again. Let's do 2 more. Nice. 1 more. And recover. So continuous 360, I'll get into next week. But now we're going to talk about the 10 and 2. So I'm going to take a moment to transition to the shorter stick. So not only is stick mobility fantastic for priming for circular training and recovery, it is a great supplement for swinging a mace and teaching technique. Okay, so the traditional swing is the 10 and 2, originated in India, mimicking pulling somebody over the shoulder. So I think of the 360 as kind of like a circle or similar to a heart shape. The 10 and 2, a triangle. So we're tying in the X of the body. And my friend Paul Gray was really great about kind of pointing out the tying in of the X of the body. So taking your stick mobility stick, we're going to do body contact first. Now, I have it on my right shoulder. The pull is going to be on a diagonal here. Then you cast out onto the frontal plane, just like we did with the 360. And then we catch on a diagonal on the other side. So it's easier to learn tying in the X of the body, or where the position of the 10 and 2 is if you're brand new to mace swinging with an unloaded stick. And then it's on the shoulder. So there's variations where you could do body contact. This is considered body contact. And no body contact, where the mace does not rest on the body. So the starting position is going to be centered in that front rack. Then I'm going to cast the mace head to the left. There's the backswing, the bull horns, and then when I pull on a diagonal. Now this is my left side. To go into the other portion of the 10 and 2, push up, cast out on that frontal plane. There's the backswing and the bull horns, and then I pull on that diagonal. So this is what it's going to look like unloaded. And this is without body contact, and this is with body contact, like so. How to do that now with the actual steel mace. I'm going to lower that stick. You could follow along with your mace or using that short stick. hip hinge. We have our mace in our front rack. Now, I'm going to place the mace onto my body, and I'm going to have a little bit more of a turn as I go through center. So this is body contact. Hands drop to the base of the neck. I pull over the shoulder. Then come back through center, pull over the other shoulder. So this is a great way to start understanding the 10 and 2 without actually swinging and to add load. Now, as you notice, my hands drop to the base of the neck as I transition from left to right. Now, without body contact, I'm going to cast normally. Here's that cast, and then pull on that diagonal. So here, I'm lengthening the forearms. Now I'm going to cast back over that left side. Oops, pull. My hair got in the way. Pull. Mace hair is a real thing. Pull. Pull. 10 and 2 o'clock. On that diagonal, gripping the ground with the feet, and recover. So I'm going to now show you the difference with a Gada with that longer lever. So that's going to have a little bit more of a counterbalance with the upper body. Left hand on top, right hand on the bottom. Same stance, cast, pull, 10 and 2. So I exhale on that pull. Again, I'm using my eyes like so. Good. Now, with our 10 and 2, if you can, I'd like you to kind of practice with both the dominant hand on top and the less dominant hand on top. So my left hand is my less dominant, calling it my right today. So let's practice with the other hand. Now, in the beginning phase, if this is brand new to you, I want you to think of being more intuitive with your practice. Like I mentioned with the 360 before, filming yourself and also listening to a song with the same beat is really, really helpful. When you film yourself, front view, side view, know the difference between what a proper swing feels like and what, one that's a little off that needs a little work. So again, with the alignment of your pelvis, and I didn't really go over this in the first class that I did last week, I want you to be mindful of when the mace head is going through the pendulum in the back position, not to jet your hips forward, right? So we don't want your lumbar spine to take the weight of the mace. You want to, again, push into the feet, engage the legs, engage your glutes, turn your core on, lengthen those forearms, and that will help your alignment because you don't want to hula hoop the hips or jet the hips forward. Okay, now with the 10 and 2 too, there's just an ever so slight turn of the body. So think of like the 10 and 2 mimics wrestling and pulling somebody over your shoulder. You don't pull somebody over your shoulder staying completely square. There's a counterbalance and there's a time in of the X of the body. So I hope you find that helpful. So let's try our 10 and 2 with the other hand on top. And as you go through your practice and you learn differences between a rep that feels good and one that doesn't, then maybe you go for time or a rep count on each side as you're progressing. So taking the right hand on top, left hand is on the bottom. I'm going to cast over my left shoulder first. Cast, pull, pull. And I think of pulling the bottom of the mace, lever or shaft, to the opposite pocket and rest. So what I mean by that is if I'm pulling over my left shoulder, I think of right hip pocket. And if I'm pulling over my right shoulder, I think of pulling across towards the left pocket. And that'll help create the stability of that pause with the mace head. So I hope you found that helpful. Let's just quickly review 10 and 2 breakdown. So more complexity because there's two pulls. The two pulls are on a diagonal. You're tying in the X of the body. Mace head, when it floats 10 or 2 o'clock, that's when you pull and create tension. And you exhale on the pull. Begin with left hand or right hand on top. You're going to cast over either shoulder, but I want you to practice hand switch if you can. Now again, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. So let's review. I'm going left hand on top, right hand on the bottom. First casting the 10 and 2 over the right shoulder. Now 1 rep counts as the 2 pulls. So that would be 1, 1, 2, 2, if that's how you count your rep. Okay, so going over right, pull, 1, 1. We'll go to 5, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4, 5, and 5. Okay, then we're going to switch to the other side. Now, it's challenging, I have to admit, to do this in a live format. And I know there's other ways to apply the mace as like an offset lever and tool, and I use that in a lot of exercises, which you'll see next week. But I also think it's important to learn the traditional swings. And like I mentioned before, the stick mobility sticks are a great pairing with this modality. So you could use stick mobility as an assessment, a primer, as part of the warm-up and recovery, and as a supplement for the mace. Now let's try it again on the other side. We're going for 5 reps. So we have the right hand on top. I'm going to cast first over my left shoulder. Remember, this stands with the legs. So we're going to go on 3, 1, 2, 3, cast. So we have 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, hairs in the way, 4, 4, and 5, 5. All right, well done. Now, quick stretch out, and then I'll do a quick review. We're going to go back to our long stick. Take your stick behind you at the lower back, palms facing forward, go out a little bit wider than hip width. Hip hinge forward, right to left. Hook your stick to the floor. Pause here for a moment. Look upward towards the ceiling. And then downward towards the floor. Again, upward towards the ceiling. And downward towards the floor. Then we're going to transition through center, left over to the right. Essentially keeping the hips pretty still here. Looking upward towards the ceiling. And downward towards the floor. Upward towards the ceiling. Good. Downward towards the floor. We're going to go back over to the other side. Heel toe out a little bit wider. And then bend into your right knee. Instead of going into the toes, pull your body weight back. Left leg is straight, toes facing forward. You're getting an awesome stretch through the front line of your body. And then bend into that left knee. Take a deep breath in, inhale, exhale, shift back over to the right. Good. Come through center, soften into both knees, and then we transition left to the right. Bend that left knee, pull the body weight back, grip the ground with your foot. Kind of think of both feet pulling the floor apart. Look upward. Look downward, shift, take a deep breath in, and lengthen. Lengthen out that right leg, bend into that left knee. Hold. Excellent. Soften into both knees, release, slowly come up, heel toe in. Take your stick, right hand on top, hip hinge forward. Take a moment, just kind of let the head hang in between the biceps or slightly above the biceps. Get a nice lat stretch. Inhale, exhale, come to stand. Switch, left hand on top. Hip hinge forward. Push down into the ground with a stick, soft knees. Hold here, breathe. And then slowly come up. Last bow and arrow, we're going to go into a bridge variation. So you're going to take the stick behind you to the right on a diagonal. Bottom hand at the sticker, top left hand. Push forward with the hips. Create the bow. Look upward towards the ceiling. Hold here 4 counts. Hold 1, 2, 3. On 4. Slowly come out of it. Take the stick now over to your left side. Top right hand. Hips forward, squeeze the glutes. So think of lifting up and out of your lower back rather than crunching into your lower back. Hold 4 counts. Hold 1, 2, 3. On 4. Slowly come out of your bow and arrow. Just a quick review. We had our starting position. Hip hinge, proper front rack. Going into pendulum. The hands to the base of the neck. I'll turn around from the back view. You start to allow, whether you're with a mace or not, that pendulum right to left. As you can see, the hands drop to the base of the neck between each rep. Your pendulum, 1, 2, 3, pull. You create that transverse turn through the shoulders, that proper cast of the mace head out onto the frontal plane, not tossing it back over the shoulder. Again, tossing it back over the shoulder will jet those hips forward. We want to create that pendulum. We want to create stability. So you push up and out. 1, 2, 3, pull. Again, 1, 2, use your eyes. 3, pull. 360 start-stop technique. Cast, pause, cast, pause. And you would repeat that each way, each hand on top. Going into the 10 and 2 to first kind of digest the alignment. Start with body contact. There's the back position. Pull over the shoulder, reverse. There's the backswing, back position, and then pull. No body contact, cast, pull on that diagonal, cast, pull on that diagonal. 10 and 2, like so. So I hope you found this breakdown helpful. I'll be adding in non-swinging techniques in next week's class. Again, I'm Kelly Manzone at KelsBells88 on Instagram. And I've been using stick mobility in my Mace workshops for the past 5 years. This is a perfect pairing, and I'm super grateful to have this opportunity to share with you, especially in this virtual space. So I'm looking forward to seeing you next week. Have a great day.